What up? What up? What's going on, fellas? What's going on, everybody out there? Thanks for checking in with us. Welcome to Birds the Word, brought to you by Old City Sports Network. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at Birds the Word and Old City Sports Network. Also, be sure to check us out on Twitter. All our Twitter handles. Well, actually, Carrington decided to change shit up. His Twitter handles at Mr. Cusick. Under And then we also have at Old Sport, spelled OLDE _ sport. All right, boys, 2-0. It ain't been pretty, but we're fucking there. Yeah. I mean, this game was another rough one to watch, but obviously, we were able to get there. We ended up locking up another win. We already got people checking in with us. Looks like we got a question here. Who's your favorite Eagle, past, present, and future? Future would be, who do you wish was an Eagle? Keep up the great work. And when you say future, I mean, we could go past on who we wish was an Eagle, too, if you really start getting into that shit.
Mm-hmm.
We could be here all day.
Yeah.
But I think we could probably touch on that really quick before we get ready to jump into all the bullshit. Carrington, hit us with it first, bud.
Favorite Eagle, past, present, or future? Man, it's really tough question. I'd say since I'm a cheater, I'll say kind of a tie between Randall Cunningham, Brian Dawkins, and Westbrook, because all those guys are what got me to be an Eagles fan in the first place. I mean, Cunningham kind of redefined the way quarterbacks played, kind of reinforced that change. Westbrook with just his well-headed plays, and Brian Dawkins just murdering people, man. I mean, there's just no other better way to put it. That guy's just, I think for my money, is the best safety to do it. But future, I would say Buda Baker, man. Get me Buda.
Okay. So that's an interesting
There's some
take.
good picks. Some good picks.
What you got, Matt? Who you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with right off Carrington said. I think, Brian Dawkins being the easy one and Jason Kelsey as well. But an underrated one that I always love watching playing was John Runyon. Just watching him absolutely bully people.
Yeah.
It's always a good time watching him and Strahan go back and forth all the time. So
yeah.
it was
Definitely
here. The person I wish that was an Eagle, that I'm not going to lie, I mean, I'm glad where we ended up with Jalen Carter here, but I would have loved to see Bijan Robinson just running behind this offensive line. I love DeAndre Swift. I love all those guys. I'm not saying I don't wish they weren't on the team, but Bijan behind this line would probably rush for 130 yards a game. It's not even funny on how good he is in Atlanta. It's ridiculous.
You heard it here first, folks. Matt hates DeAndre Swift.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So God, past, present, future. Yeah, past you're going into some greats. Brian Dawkins, without question. It's definitely probably it got to be my number one. I'm a huge fan of him and Weapon X, and just that whole demeanor and the way that he played the game. He played it with a level of intensity that I don't think we've seen since. As far as present goes, well, actually, you know what? Past. Look, I've always been a big fan of tight ends, and the Eagles have had some greats over the course of the last 2 decades, 3 decades. You go back. I mean, Chad Lewis, all the way up to Zach Ertz. But I'll be honest, I was always a big fan of Brent Selleck and the work that he always used to put in. So Brent Selleck was always a big one for me. One of the first Eagles jerseys I ever bought on my own, that I needed to have in my my closet ready for game day. So Brent Selleck was definitely one. As far as present goes, yeah, I'm a big fan of Mailata. I love his story and the way that he's come into the league and being that rugby player and being able to take that ability and be able to transform it into to somebody that is arguably one of the better tackles in the league at the moment. He's a huge one for me. And as far as future goes, you know what? We all hate the Cowboys here, but Micah Parsons has become a huge advocate for the Eagles and what they're building here, and I think there was some form of resentment towards us and the way we drafted and picked up certain folks that made us dangerous, and I think he was envious of what the Eagles have right now. So I think that if Dallas Cowboys go tits up and he starts looking for a space to go, I would be remiss in thinking that Micah Parsons probably would not jump at the opportunity to run over here. And
Yeah, I mean, with the Cowboys, Tommy, it's less of an if and more of a when they go tits up, right?
Yeah,
like
it's like right around mid-December or January, right? It's right around there.
We got some time. So some other people checked in with us. Chris checks in, said Eric Allen.
Eric Allen's a good one.
Yeah, one of his favorite Eagles of all time.
They went on a run of having some great corners over about 15 years between, Bobby Taylor and Troy Vincent, and then you go right to Sheldon Brown and Lito Shepherd. We had Dawkins back there, Quentin Michael. We had some really good secondaries coming in, and on how some of those, especially the 04 team, didn't win a Super Bowl, and probably the 03 team was more talented. I think when they choked against Tampa, I still see.
Well, when you have Jim Johnson running your offense, I mean, it's kind of hard or your defense. It's kind of hard to compete. The Admiral checked in, says, "Keep up the good work here, boys." So,
thank you, Jesse.
The boss approves. Looks like he's also letting everybody know this is the #1 place for Birds content. A lot of the stuff that we're seeing people talking about after the game is stuff that we've talked about previously. So, sounds like we've got our finger on the pulse of what the city's talking about. We got Jared checking in. What kind of timeshare do you think Swift and Gainwell will have moving forward based on how well Swift played in KGW's injury absence? I think that's definitely something we're probably going to be touching on here as we progress along into the show because, I think that hands down he was MVP for the game. In my opinion, dude was all over the place. I mean, he made that defense look bad. Putting up 175 yards is no joke. And had we made that game plan from the jump, we would have easily been looking at probably a whole hell of a lot more. So it's one of them things that we'll be definitely touching on here soon.
I think if you would have told me he would have had 28 carries during that game, I would have bet my entire house, my neighbor's house, my dad's house, and both of your guys' houses. I would have been like, there's no way that he's going to get 28 carries. And damn sure if he didn't.
Yep.
And rightfully so.
Yeah, and Sirianni said, right? He goes, we're gonna ride the hot hand. That's what we're gonna do. So once they started lining up in the 3-man fronts, and and we can kind of dive into it later. But I think as far as timeshare goes, I'm going to take Sirianni in his word and say that he is going to go with the hot hand. And Swift has been my choice for #1 back. I think he was Matt's choice. He's your choice. I don't understand Gainwell love affair, but I think that Swift will be, as long as he can stay healthy, he's going to be the guy. You can probably count on him for running back 1 production.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Let Swift run. I mean, I was kind of actually thinking the opposite, but if Swift can run north to south the way that he did the other night, I can't think that we're looking at a Gainwell starting anymore. I think the depth chart might have just shifted ever so slightly in the opposite direction from what we were anticipating.
Yeah, and like you said, him running north and south so quickly and hitting the hole with one cut and as fast as he did, he was not messing around. He wasn't shying away from contact, but he was smart as well. There was a couple runs where he kind of waited. He waited for his blockers. He waited for everything to develop, and then he just shot through the hole like he was shot out of a cannon. And he wasn't going down on first contact whatsoever. He was running his ass off.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's delve into this a little bit more as we go into cover 2. So cover 2 is brought to you by Fanatics. Use the link below. Be sure to pick up all of your Eagles gear for the rest of the season. Some good stuff on there. Kelly Green jerseys are on there. You can also pick up some Kelly Green shirts if you're not one to be wearing jerseys or anything like that. So they got some really nice stuff over there.
Yeah. Just ordered my son one for his first birthday, so we'll see.
There it is.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, boys. Well, we ended up coming out of this thing with a win, 34-28. Wasn't pretty, especially down the stretch there. They were able to take advantage of some missteps on the defensive side of the ball, even though they turned the ball over 4 times, which is one of the things that I think kind of frustrated me the most in regards to the way that these guys played, because it just seemed like they did not play a complete game when it came down to it. Once they felt like we were comfortable enough of a lead, it seemed like we kind of turned it off ever so slightly, which is something that we've noticed in the past from years past, where we take our foot off the gas. What's your guys' thoughts on this and how this game ended up shaking out? Because I thought that this one was actually going to end up being a blowout.
Carrington good.
I mean, I kind of look at it a few different ways. One way on defense, we're missing a lot of people, right? You lost your safety on a team that really only has one safety. You lost an all-pro corner. And very early on, you lost your top nickel corner, and arguably the only nickel we have on the roster. I mean, people say Goodrich, but he was targeted 6 times. He allowed 6 receptions and a touchdown. He's not it, right? That's not going to be the answer. So we're down heavy on defense. We were getting absolutely pummeled early, and I thought, when we talked about betting going over under, I said just take the over. It's going to be way over. This is going to be a shootout either way because the way our defense is set up. I think I'm pleased that we got out of there with a win. The decision not to go for it for 2 when we were up by 12 is very confusing to me. And I think that's kind of indicative of Sirianni calling the majority of the offensive plays and kind of having to be heavily involved with those tasks overseeing Brian Johnson. But I was very pleased because we got a running back who's our definite number 1 running back. We have A.J. Brown had 4 receptions, but he could have easily, if he wasn't held maliciously, he could have easily had 100 yards and a touchdown. And we're talking about a 28 carry, 170-yard running back, 200-yard receivers. Goddard got his 6 receptions, albeit not huge production, but all of the boxes we want to check, Hurts being 18-23. There's one throw that just wasn't it for him. But other than that, I thought we got together a very long drive to really kind of stop the momentum, kind of put a statement on the game. And I thought at that point it would get out of hand. But I saw a lot of things that I thought, okay, this is like last year. We can put together a long drive. We're capable of holding the ball, similar play calling.
Yeah, I'm glad they went on that, on that long ass drive. Was it 19 plays? I think they ran on that drive. And
yes.
They just,
19.
they just tried to get too cute when they got inside the 20, and it absolutely drove me insane. It drove me insane. There's
16 plays.
16 plays. Okay.
16, and then they had a 15 a little later on in the game that actually ended up resulting in a punt, which I'm still trying to figure that one out. But you actually kind of touched on somebody that has kind of been a topic of conversation. A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts got into a little bit of it looked like a little bit of a tizzy on the sidelines. Do you guys think that this is something that we are going to be worrying about going forward, or is this just
no,
not at all? Off?
I think both receivers were getting open, and it's just trying to find those guys when they're getting there without getting pressure in his face nonstop.
Right.
He came out of that, and AJ got back-to-back touchdown receptions pretty much coming in, but one being called back from a hold, and then the other one he got tackled at the goal line for whatever reason that wasn't interference. But that's neither here nor there. But these guys are not like best friends on a football team. Like, they are best friends in life. Jalen Hurts is AJ Brown's godfather, or the kid's godfather. Brother's going to argue. They're in the heat of the game. They're not playing well. or as well as they should be. And, AJ thinks that he's open, and he's probably telling him, just fucking throw it. I'll catch it.
Yeah.
I think he came out in the next drive, and he hit him out of like 3 of the 5 passes, including a big first down on third down. So everybody's calling him a mini TO on the radio, which is
Yeah. I think
dumbest-
they're blowing it out of
it's
proportion
the
as well.
absolute dumbest thing I could possibly even imagine comparing him to. It's just, I don't think it's a problem whatsoever.
What you got on it, Carrington?
I mean, I don't know how much more I could put on it than Matt did. I mean, tizzy's the right way to look at it, or the right word for it, because it's such a ridiculous word, and it's
Right.
such a ridiculous topic, right? People are going to look for cracks. You're going to look for divisiveness. I've never seen, like, Philly media. There's kind of a weird split this year of people, I think, that are kind of looking for the things. And it's your job to write the story, but it's not your job. Yeah. Screw those guys. Screw them. I can't stand them at all. And as I always say to my son, my 5-year-old son Quincy, I'm like, is this really a problem, or is this real? Are we making more out of it than it is, right? And he's 5, and he can tell me clearly, and he knew that wasn't an issue. Like, these writers, they're either coming up with shit, or they have the shortest memories on planet Earth. Because Randy Moss, I mean, T.O., Ocho Cinco. You're talking about people pulling cell phones out of goalposts, pouring popcorn on their face, and throwing temper tantrums and breaking tablets and stuff, or I guess clipboards, and demanding trades and stuff. This is a receiver saying, "Hey, I'm open, man. You got to find me. I'm trying to tell you." And it's a quarterback that didn't back down, that didn't acquiesce to his demands, that just said, "Calm your shit down, relax, everything's kosher." And then when they left the field, AJ Brown was skipping and hopping.
And
this is nothing. Much
and
ado
I saw
about
a video,
nothing.
and not to cut you off, I'm sorry, it just popped in my mind. And I saw a video of him running off the field, telling the fans that he went like this and said, that was my bad. But they didn't show any of that going on.
They're not going.
He knew.
Yeah.
He knew
Yeah,
it's in the heat of the moment. They had, right after that, they were struggling throwing the ball going on. And
Right.
he's like, and like Karen said, he's like, I'm fucking open. Throw it to me, and I'm going to make a play.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's something we're definitely going to be touching on here in the offensive segment, because there's something's a foul, and I'm not really sure what it is. I don't know if it's his lack of confidence or what, but that's definitely something we'll be touching on. Another thing that ended up coming out of this is we got another 2 injuries to our team, and this trend is not something I'm hoping that is going to continue. But Vontae Maddox is he's going to be out indefinitely. Tore pectoral. I think he's getting ready to go into surgery sometime this week.
Yeah, today.
It's an unfortunate loss, because our depth at cornerback is there. However, the experience is where it's lacking. And having played in the Super Bowl and some of these things that we rely on our seasoned cornerbacks to be there and provide that insight to, and even kind of help with. Vontae might not be a great subject for that, because obviously this is not new for him. He's injured quite often. We've talked about this before, and the fact that this dude is injury prone. We sit there and we talk about Derek Barnett, where Sirianni goes, it's always fucking him when it comes to penalties. When somebody goes down for injury, I kind of say the same thing about Vontae. It's always fucking him. So same, that's kind of my thought with that. And then unfortunately, the guy that we had pegged as the slot receiver, Wes Watkins, looks like he has a hamstring injury. I don't know if we've been given any more real context as to exactly what the hell is going on with it.
Not yet.
But, could be anything.
Well, he was dealing with that
he was
hamstring.
banged up in camp too, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting ready to say. But, it's not like we're dealing with Zacchaeus being unproven. He had a phenomenal year last year with a quarterback that didn't throw the ball all that well. And Desmond Ridder for part of the season. So I'm not too worried about that aspect of him. The Vontae Maddox injury is definitely a little worrisome, even though we're used to him, missing some time. But being injured in the second game of the season is going to be missing, the next 14 to 17 games, hopefully. But
So does that mean Greg Ward's getting called up for fucking Monday Night Football?
Hey, he might be. It'd be Greg Ward time.
Sponsored by Twinkie.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, that's the only one that I'm super worried about because, like you said, it's not that we're thin. It's just those guys have 0 games started combined that are going to be playing slot, and that's fine. Like if Maddox was going to go out at some point this year, I'd rather it be now instead of week 16. You know what I mean? So hopefully, like a Keely Ringo or an Eli Ricks is going to be starting and getting a lot of playing time coming up here soon because Mario Goodrich is not it.
Well, and we saw a lot of practice and a lot of game planning where they schematically move Bradbury into the slot role, and they trust Job to be on the outside, or at least temporarily trust him. Everything's a fact until it's disproven, right? But I think you could see a lot of experience-based moves like that. What frustrates me about Maddox the most, not about him as a player, like you can't help yourself getting injured. Nothing but nice things to say about the guy and how he plays, but he carries a decent cap number, and not only that, history is supposed to teach you what happened, in the past, so that you can learn in the present, and not repeat it in the future. And I'll be goddamned if we looked at Quez Watkins and we said, listen, you have a history of hamstring injuries. Here's Zacchaeus, another proven slot receiver so we don't hamstring ourselves, into this decision. Boom, Pundia. And now we're looking at this other situation. Nice. Love it. And we're looking at this other situation with Maddox where it's not at all surprising. Yet you look at the starters and how much slot experience they've had, and there is not a lot on the team. And the other guy that may have been the backup for that, McPherson, which I do not think would have been a good substitute for that. He's also out for seasons. So now Mekhi Gardner, pretty big, Ricks, small but very fast, unproven. Do you move your all-pro corner to nickel? Like, it's really, really tough, right? So I think you can move Sidney Brown down there. It just depends. You got to live with the lumps you got to be willing to live with those mistakes he's going to make. Because you get a hyper athletic Waddle or somebody, lined up in the slot, he's screwed. So you got to adjust schematically, but not concerned about Quez at all. Got to provide something to lose it. That's kind of how I feel about him. And man, nickel, I'm nervous because we're banged up already at safety. We lost our nickel corner. Our starting all-pro corner didn't start last week. So I guess you could say it's getting pretty serious.
And it's such because last year this didn't happen. You know what I mean? It was super rare. So now it's just like it seems like it's just one thing after another, after another, after another, and it's like, all right, like fucking timeout on the injuries. Can we get like a week where we just like get through everything coming in? But
yeah, can we get a complete game out of these guys for once?
Yeah, so I do think a move at some point is coming from Howie. If somebody becomes available, I think he's going to pull the trigger. I mean, we have 94 picks next year that he can trade away. So
I don't think that we could. We might shake out okay rolling into this because with us not playing till Monday, a couple of these guys might actually clear concussion protocol prior to, so we should be okay on at least Bradbury.
Yeah, Bradbury come back. Yeah,
and Blankenship they said are all trending to play too.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, we might shake out okay against the Buccaneers. I don't know that we're necessarily going to be in a tough spot with that, but I think
just
Howie's not going to sleep on his laurels too long.
Yeah, their quarterback doesn't scare me, but both wide receivers do, and Godwin and Mike Evans is just Mike Evans, and he's going to get his. If you or I were throwing the ball, it doesn't matter.
You're right.
But I don't even know who they have in the slot nowadays. But I would love to see Keely Ringo get a shot. Play the entire game, or Eli Ricks, either one of them. And
I mean,
I do not want to see Mario Goodrich out there trailing by 3 yards again, just catch after catch after catch.
Man, I'm gonna see that shit in my sleep, man.
Yeah.
Like, it just play after play, you just think, come on, do something different. But at least the decision is very, very, very justified to keep it 6 to 7 defensive backs. Very justified to keep Evans and Edmonds and all those guys too at safety. But I think if you don't go out and get yourself, speaking of the Bucks, like an Anton Winfield, that would be a high dollar but good target guy to go after. Kevin Byard from the Titans. Buda Baker, those would all be Jeremy Chin from the Panthers if they kind of continue to slide, because he's up for an extension as well. And he's a box down safety that's very comfortable playing big nickel and against the run and basically being an honorary linebacker, right? He plays almost 40% of his snaps there. And currently, the way his salary is, he doesn't have the extension. So he would be a really good candidate as opposed to somebody like a Byard or a Baker who already have a large cap number. You can potentially address two issues with one while going after that guy. I think you got to add someone.
Yeah, and that's what kind of kills me. Like, we could have got like an Isaiah Simmons for super stupid cheap. You know what I mean? Somebody who can play that inside the box, where a hybrid, a cover guy or a backer at that time. He's fast enough to do either. He's a freak athlete, and to get him for a 7th round pick, but he wasting away over there in Jersey. Can't even say New York. Is
waste.
It's an absolute waste.
Big play Slay follows who against the Bucks? I think he'll probably end up lining up against Godwin, I would think, right?
If Bradbury's playing, I don't think he's going to follow anybody. He didn't follow Justin Jefferson last week, as much as I thought that he was going to, considering the first time that they played. But,
right.
He didn't play bad against him. I think he allowed 6 catches for 86 yards when lined up against Justin Jefferson, and I will take that all day long compared to what he can do.
Yeah,
as we saw.
I was upset with the waste lane.
Yeah, now with either one of those receivers, you kind of buckle down on one of them. Hopefully, neither of them get you, but definitely not both of them.
Yeah. Jared, that's a good question too, and I think it is less of a question of schematically, like who he's going to choose and whether the Eagles have to rely on a heavy zone defense, depending on who's, if you have Blankenship back and you get everybody else back and Bradbury on the side, and you kind of have a big, it depends who goes in at slot now too, but then schematically you can afford to play more man with, our new DC who likes to blitz a lot. So, but if, you're short 2 safeties essentially and a corner, they'll probably go more zone like they did against Minnesota, because that's, I think, the better way to neutralize. They're less speedsters and more just huge possession guys. I mean, God, who wouldn't want to have Evans on their team?
Yeah, right. Well, apparently the Bucks don't, because they don't want to re-sign him. So who knows? But also, they're coming into a game where Rashad White is a very, very good receiving back. So it's definitely going to put a stress on their defense with their pass rush and their blitzing, because it's going to be very easy just to dump the ball off to them from Baker and have him do his thing. And we don't have Nakobe Dean still. We're going to have Cunningham and Morrow and Ellis and those guys, but it's going to be a tough game. It's Monday night down in Tampa, so we'll be always ready to go.
Yep. Yeah, I think we're looking at another good one.
The Bucks aren't playing well, or they're not playing bad.
No, they're not. I mean, it's considering. I mean, they're.
Yeah. I think they should tell everybody that if the Bucks go 3-0, that Mayfield's going to start up with those stupid and progressive commercials again.
Yeah, right.
And that'll really get the juices going.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they put up 20 against Minnesota, and they put up 27 against Chicago, which I
just want to say, if there's any Chicago Bears fans listening, where are you now? Because all I heard was about Justin Fields being this phenomenal top 3 quarterback coming in, and he is just ass.
Yeah, quiet,
just hot garbage.
Yeah,
people would rather be on the curve of the trend, seeing Jalen Hurts take a step. And they're like, well, look at what happened after they added a big receiver, for Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, the leap he took. And I'm like, can we not act like DJ Moore is that guy? Because he's sure about that? He's not that guy.
No. Or Chase Claypool. Either one. No offense. I knew you were talking about him, but the effort that he gave in that first game of just like laying so many blocks of it was horrendous.
Claypool's
Yeah.
the weirdest.
Yeah, that was. I don't
Like,
understand it.
all the talent in the world and just doesn't want to do it. Like I said, him forever celebrating a first down with 10 seconds left and wasting out the clock will be forever burned in my brain.
Yeah, that's ingrained in mine too. So, all right, fellas, let's get into fourth and season and discuss a little bit deeper on this offense that we saw on Thursday night.
Trying to stop a 4th and 26 and in essence take over. Plenty of time. Down the middle, it's Mitchell. Where will they spot him? They're going to get forward progress and a first down.
Alrighty. Fourth and season brought to you by Righteous Felon. Go to righteousfelon.com. Use promo code OCSN for 15% off the best beef jerky around. Any orders over $50 get you free shipping. And it turns out that Righteous Felon is actually selling in some stores in Jersey. I saw the owner, Jesse, had found Righteous Felon out and about in his travels. However, you don't get the nice little discount if you don't use our little promo code. So make sure you go ahead and use that as opposed to buying it in store.
It is, and not only because we're sponsored by them. It's some of the best beef jerky that I've had. Remember, my wife, like 2 or 3 years ago, got me like a birthday basket of all the different flavors they had, and a pair of boxers from them. But it came, in this little pail, and we inhaled like every package that we had.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even a big beef jerky fan, honestly, and even I eat this stuff, so it's pretty good. I definitely would recommend it even if you're not a big beef jerky fan. This one is definitely pretty good. All right, so this game was not Hurts's best performance. Again, we didn't see much in the way of passing. Went 18 for 23 for 193 yards. Had one touchdown pass, and obviously that one interception that I'm still trying to figure out what the thought process was there. Throwing it into double coverage. It's one of them things that when we have a game like this where our defense is making the other team turn the ball over as frequently as they did against these guys, and the fact that we were not able to put up points against them every time that they did this kind of pissed me off a little bit. And I wanted them to take advantage of every opportunity that was presented to them, because they could have blew these guys out in the first half alone, just based off of the fact that we had that one fumble. We ended up missing a field goal. They had another fumble, and we ended up making a field goal. So we're not getting touchdowns off of these opportunities. We're getting almost the bare minimum. I mean, I guess it's better than punting the ball. We're getting opportunities to kick field goals and shit, but it's really starting to get on my nerves. What's your guys' thoughts with all this? Because this is, I'm not ready to throw up the fucking flag and start asking for help, but it's definitely, this is the second week in a row that Jalen looks uncomfortable back there in the pocket, in the passing thing. I don't know. What's your guys' thoughts?
I mean, I think, it's probably time to put down the outlaw beer when you're, looking at 34 points and going,
I'm not anymore.
That's a shame. So when you score 34 points, right?
More mellow.
Yeah, right.
Well, nobody wants that, but when it's 34 points, and I think he passed. I mean, it was like what 78% accuracy or something crazy, right? Or 70 or 70.
Yes, I mean 17 for 23 is definitely
math,
or 18 for 23. It's not bad.
It's like
I mean, he was sacked 4 times for 22 yards of loss. So
I think it's roughly 76 or 77%. But and also if you look at it, the game's about ifs and buts, but I think it's a lot easier to weigh those when you've won the game. and you look less like a spoiled baby and more like somebody kind of thinking about the what ifs. And I look at the what if of that, the fumble, the what if of the getting hooked by A.J. Brown getting hooked. And if you come out of a game and you go, you have two receivers with 100+ yards and another running back with 170+ yards, and you have two drives where they're going 15, even the one you punted on, but you're controlling the ball consistently. Yes, I would like to see more execution, but we put up 34 points. And we did it playing our second game in 5 days with a absolutely terrible pass defense, which does matter and count with how quickly they're scoring. I would like to see the offensive line have a little bit more continuity, but you also had Mulata come out there with one of the highest Pro Football Focus grades ever given to an offensive lineman ever.
Yeah.
And so he's taking care of business, and you're getting your pass protection game right, especially when you're kind of putting in a new guy, Cam Jurgens, in there. With shout out Nebraska as always. And you're working at a running back for the second straight game, DeAndre Swift. You're trying to get the targets distributed a little more evenly. So I'm seeing it come together. I just feel like this is last year all over again. They just have to gel and mesh, kind of get the play calling on some sort of a rhythm, and that's a new coordinator, right? That's what you're dealing with. So if we can survive 2 games in 5 days and get out to this, week 5 and we're 5-0, we're putting up 30 points a game. I don't think I'm concerned at all. Like, look at all the things we've done, and there is still so much room to grow. We get 1 or 2 calls our way even that were obvious, not even ticky-tack. If that were the Super Bowl, 1,000 of them would have been on us.
Yeah.
Right? And we're going to be putting up, 40, 45 points easy. So I think it was a shootout game on short rest with a shit defense, at least effort for the most part. You just got to finish some drives, and I think, Tommy, you'll be happy.
No, and I think that's exactly what my point is. It's just the fact that we're not capitalizing on the opportunities that, despite our lackluster pass defense, especially in this one where, Cousins, I think, was able to put up 364 yards of passing. It's just the fact that we were given these opportunities and we weren't able to capitalize them. And you kind of pointed out the person that I think should be held accountable for this, and that's Brian Johnson. However, the one thing that was encouraging, and this is something that the Eagles have had a bad track record on in years past, is the lack of ability to adjust within the game to be able to capitalize on what the defense is showing you. And Brian Johnson did this, I think, flawlessly. The fact that he shifted to the run the way that he did and recognized that this was probably where we needed to go. You could see how the offense ended up moving, and it ultimately ended up opening up the field more for Jalen to be able to start completing some of those passes to some of those guys later down the stretch. It was in the beginning of that game where we were relying ultimately on this pass to get after it, and it wasn't working for us initially out of the gate. So the fact that Brian Johnson was able to adjust the way that he did, I think it speaks highly to him and his ability to be able to do that. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I got to keep remembering, it's Brian Johnson's first year calling plays in the NFL, I believe, and we were spoiled with having Shane Steichen for back-to-back years, and we can see the job that he's doing out in Indy, with the not so, I shouldn't say talented quarterback, but, a brand new rookie on the job that he's doing out there. So with Brian Johnson coming in and coming out the first couple series and just throwing and throwing and throwing, and you're getting a lot of new looks from defenses. They've had all offseason to plan for the Eagles. They've had all offseason to plan for Jalen Hurts. As you see, they're not letting them run the RPO. They're sticking with Jalen no matter what. They're like, screw the running back. We're gonna stick with Jalen because we're not gonna let his legs beat us. We're gonna make his arm beat us. And I think he did that last game. Once the run actually opened up the playing field a little bit, they started bringing those guys down in the box, and they still couldn't stop it. But when they start bringing those guys up, guys start getting behind the defense, like Devontae Smith. He had a 63-yarder and a 58-yarder, on 2 plays. And the 58-yarder probably would have been a touchdown if Hurts didn't have a guy and was able to step into the throw instead of just arming it all the way out there. And it was a phenomenal catch by Devontae coming in. But
For sure.
we see when he was able to step up in the pocket and throw, he delivered an absolute dime to Smith on the run, and it was great to see. And I think the more that they run the ball, they know now that, hey, I can run this fucking ball down their throats as much as I want to, because you have the best offensive line. It's not even close.
Right.
It's not even close. And those guys love run blocking. They rather run block than pass block. And the defense is getting dog ass tired, and they cannot stop it. Or they couldn't stop it the other night. I mean, somebody might be able to, but that's when, Hurts has to be on point with his throws coming in. But with all the good things that we're saying, I appreciate it more. With everything coming in, he was 18-23, so he was there, but he needs to be more decisive with the football. He is holding it a lot more, waiting for someone to open up, and just trust your arms, trust his guys, because he's causing a lot of these sacks. He ran into 2 sacks the other night, and then those guys can only pass block for so long before somebody breaks free, because you don't know where he is at that point. You can't look behind you to see where your quarterback is.
Yep.
And just get in, get the ball out. Trust your first read. If it's not there, go to second read, get the ball out, or take off with it. But I don't want to see him running like he did last year, even though I know that is a part of his game. Because as I told you guys the other night, when he broke left on one run and he planted his left leg and he just went straight down, I was like, well, that was a fun season.
Yep.
Because I really thought he hurt himself, just the way that he just kind of fell. And I was like, this is already over. But thank God that it wasn't.
And that's why I love stats too, by the way, because they don't lie to you. Not typically, small sample size, maybe they will, but you're talking 30 points a game. We're looking at about average. They're running about 178 yards per game. All right, and they're easily the league leading rusher going on right now. So 700 yards almost of total offense through 2 games, 30 points a game, and they've scored in 7 of 8 quarters. And so for me, I look at that and go, wow, new coordinator, new guy calling plays, and we have this much to bitch about. And that means that the potential is still so much higher. And I'm not saying we shouldn't be complaining or worried, but when I see, all 9 pressures given up, it's like, that's not going to happen every time. Hurts scrambling to the wrong side, getting a miscommunication, bumping into a center, it's not going to happen every time. And it's starting to show out when those pass plays are opening. And if you look at the Devonta Smith, a real long pass play he had, the Mike linebacker is sitting totally still, waiting for him to make some sort of play, and then runs in at the last minute, but is nowhere close. And meanwhile, you have a safety that was also coming down in the box too, and a flat waiting for him to do something or toss it to the linebacker. So his ability to run, the threat to get out and do something with the ball, it's still threatening people. They're still planning for it. And even when they did play a 3-down lineman front, Devonta had the great game.
Yeah. Devontae, I think, was probably the other shining star on this offense for that game. Obviously, DeAndre is by and large the MVP for this. 175 yards is nothing to scoff at, but Devontae was getting open quite frequently. And when he was getting open, it was for long yardage. I think the first play of the game out of the gate was, I think, for 30 yards, 30 plus yards. And I mean, I was like, I actually thought that my fantasy thing was lying to me, because I was like, dude, how the fuck does he have 60 yards of receiving already? I was like, when did and then I was like, oh wait, that's okay. So that makes sense. So then and then obviously he took it again for that 63-yarder that ended up resulting in the touchdown, which was a huge play, and Jalen hit him perfectly, and Devonta just went up and made the play. It's unfortunate that he's not able to he's not utilizing the running backs as an option for him as often as I was anticipating that this offense was going to do it. I mean, he only threw it to DeAndre Swift 3 times, and he hit Rashad Penny once. Outside of that, I mean, he's hitting the normal suspects. Dallas Goedert had a better day. I mean, he caught most of the passes that were thrown to him. It wasn't for a significant amount of yardage, but he was getting some first downs for us. So I guess that's all you really want him to do. But AJ he only ended up getting 4 for 29 yards, which I guess that I could see probably where the frustration is. But if they're playing up against AJ Brown and that's who they're covering, I mean, you can't really get upset at Jalen Hurts if you're actually getting covered. Now, don't get me wrong.
No.
There were some egregious plays in there where they just flat out were committing penalties left and right on this dude, and they weren't catching shit. And they didn't call much.
No,
I mean, referees were not calling shit.
They definitely let them play, which was fine because then we had one later in the game. I think Justin Evans might have got there a little early, but it was a bang bang play in live time. So that one, but like when looking at the live one with AJ Brown, and not even just being an Eagles fan, like the guy literally was tackling him before the ball even got there, and it blew my mind that they didn't call a pass interference call, or even an illegal contact call at that point. Like it didn't make sense.
Right.
But I mean, we had the ball for 39 minutes, and we still put up 34 points. And even though in one of those very long drives we came away somehow with nothing, but even still, looking at that 39 minutes, playing on short rest, we did what we needed to do for our defense, which was hold the ball and run it down their throats. And as you guys pointed out really well, Johnson, boy, he really equivocated himself in that second half by actually it's so corny, but taking what the defense gave him and kind of falling into a rhythm. And that's where I get excited, or I get a little let my optimism take over, is when I saw the box score and I went 39 minutes, just like you're saying with Devonta. And I'm like, what are we looking at here? Like, what's going on? But we got to him, we made plays and held on to the ball, and we did just enough. I mean, I really think a couple of bad calls, especially that non-holding on Josh Sweat, where he's coming in around the corner and they go, oh, he's wide open. Well, no shit. He could have thrown it from Albuquerque. I mean, he was back there forever. You got 9 seconds to throw it while people are getting tackled right in front of you. But I think those 2 plays alone, that and the AJ Brown one, that's 14-point swing right there. And we're not even having this discussion. We're probably having some fun Kirk Cousins primetime jokes.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And I mean, that was a big one that showed the inexperience in the secondary, which I'm sure we'll touch on here in a minute. But Josh Jacobs kind of got lost in the sauce with how they lined up in a bunch formation and crossing, and it's just one of those things that it comes with time and working with the guys continuously on being on where you should be and who you're following. So I don't know. I like it. Like I said, 34 points coming out is nice, but like Tom, like you touched on, just it didn't seem like they were all the way clicking together until Brian Johnson started running the football. And I'm glad that he didn't care if it looked like boring football. Didn't care what anybody else thought.
I don't give a shit.
Washington did it to us last year. You know what I mean? That's how they broke this undefeated streak, and because they held the ball for I think 42 minutes that game. They just ran the ball when Jordan Davis went out for that first game.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was tough to watch, but I'm like, there's nothing that we can possibly do right now. And Minnesota tried 9 guys in the box playing, man on man outside, and they 7-yard gain, 6-yard gain, 9-yard gain. It's like you talk about totally just taking the wind out of somebody. It's like we're trying everything besides stacking 11 guys in here, and I don't even think that would have worked.
Yeah, I don't know that necessarily would have worked either. DeAndre was bouncing off of guys, and if he wasn't bouncing off of them, he was running them the fuck over. So him coming out and doing what he did,
Game changer.
It was huge. So thank God he's on our team now, because
Which brings me, like, we had the discussion too. DeAndre Swift is by far the most talented running back that you have on your team since you signed him. So how he didn't get in the game during the first game is just, it absolutely blows my mind still. I mean, and we won, so thank God. But imagine if we lost that game and look back in the box score and see that DeAndre Swift had 1 carry and, 3 targets, which happened in 1 reception. We'd be like, what the fuck is happening? Why did we even trade a 4th-round pick for him at that point? And then we come into this one, 28 carries. It's like, okay.
And he said, we'll ride the hot hand, right? And I think Swift in that first game had a drop that was not the best thrown ball, but you got to take what you're given. And he had a couple carries where he just really didn't do a good job, or at least the 1 carry of getting through the hole. And in this one, clearly something's different because he absolutely, pancaked the assignment. I mean, so to speak.
Yeah, no, it's a good point, and yeah, I mean he definitely it was a night and day difference from game 1 to game 2. So I just hope that it continues to progress in that way, and that he continues to be as effective as he was the other night. So that's my hope. Let's hope that this particular thing continues, because the defense that they're going to be going up against next week looks like let's see, defense, where are you at? So yeah, so I mean they're middle of the road when it comes to the defense. So they're not bad, they're not great. The hope is that our offense just really gets after these guys. I'm really trying to see kind of where they were at as far as the run defense.
But while you're looking that up, Matt, can we agree that we're good with Britton Covey? We're good on him.
Yeah.
He fumbled again.
Fucking just killing me. Fucking killing me.
Yeah, I don't fucking know, but I mean,
how
I guess at
serious
least we
is
have
that
a
gambling
corner,
suspension, Rogers?
right? Right?
Yeah. It's just I don't know what they need to do. Just stand back there and call for a fair catch every time. I don't care at this point.
Right.
It's not like he breaks any tackles when coming out of it anyway. I mean, hey, last time we talked a bunch of shit about Justin Evans, and he had 2 forced fumbles and a fumble recovery. So hopefully I talk enough shit about him this game. We can have like a punt return for a touchdown or something crazy. So
that was my theory with Covey last year. I dogged him for 7 straight weeks, and then he finally started coming through, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to stop now.
I mean,
you
really
obviously don't.
Yeah, right.
You really can't. It's so it looks like for total yards, Tampa Bay has led up 369, which is oh wow, the Eagles are actually the worst.
Probably.
Oh well, these don't. This hasn't updated.
I don't put too much stock in.
This hasn't updated. Actually, this hasn't updated yet from yesterday's games. So the stats are actually going to be wrong. They're going to be. It has the Eagles, but it doesn't have the second game for all these other guys. So it's going to be inaccurate. But yeah, I mean, Buccaneers still led up 369 yards in that first game, and 40 only 41 yards rushing. So, and led up 328 passing. So hopefully they can get the passing thing figured out. That might be the game to actually do it when you have some of these guys that you can throw to and spread the field out a little bit more. So here's hoping. But I think without further ado, we should probably get into the defense, our favorite topic. So. right, Nickels and Dimes is brought to you by Outlaw Mile High Beer. Check it out at Tivoli Brewing Company in Colorado. Pick up a case near you. You can also check it out online and order it. They will deliver anywhere in the continental United States. All right, defense. This was the fact that we ended up having 4 turnovers. We forced 4 fumbles. Is something that was rather impressive from this team. And despite the fact that we were not able to capitalize off of some of those turnovers, is the part that sucks. But then we started to get into the second half of this game, and they started to let up ever so slightly. Are you guys worried at all about the defense and them being able to play a complete game?
No, I mean, I'm not right now. It's still early, and with all the injuries that we had in week 2 coming in, I won't set that in for a season long worry about it. Now if this was week 8 or 9, and this was week 4 of having backups and everything, then maybe. But the defensive line is getting pressure like there's no tomorrow. But they're doing what offenses should do on the other side, and they're hitting, these quick passes that are coming in. I think that'll help once we get another slot guy in, whether it's somebody we have on our team or outside. We get Nakobe Dean back in, who may be his first season starting or playing full time, but he's still better than anything that we got right now. And we get Bradbury back in our corners, and then we figure out with Reed Blankenship back there. And it was funny where they were talking to Sean Desai, and they were like, "Oh, like Nakobe Dean's not bad being out with play calling because that goes to Reed." Well, then Reed goes out, and he's like, "All right, well, we still got Avante coming in wearing the green dot calling plays and everything." And then he goes out, and it's like, "Oh shit." Now, who the hell do I put who the hell do we go from here to getting everybody in the same position? And it was Christian Ellis. It was Christian Ellis, and Ellis wasn't even a sure thing to make the team at first. You know what I mean? So it's a crazy thing on how quickly things go downhill. But with all that and going on, he may not have had the stats to go all the way through, but Josh Sweat having 5 quarterback hits. Should have been 6 after he got put in a fucking chokehold coming around the corner, and he ended up with a sack still.
Getting it.
Yeah, I mean, even with, I know their left tackle was out there. Shaw tried playing about a play and a half and got bullied out of the way. Then he went off the field again. But whoever they put at left tackle was just getting abused by Josh Sweat.
Yeah. Carrington, what you got, bud? I know this is your favorite topic of conversation, bud. So.
Love defense all day, every day, right? So for me, looking at any problem for any team, I'm looking at what we're trying to accomplish and who we're trying to do it against, right? So when I look at CeeDee Lamb, Terry McLaurin, and kind of what they're bringing to the table, their speedster.
And this is actually a question that Jared just asked. What level of concern about the offense, the NFC East stars that are having a weekend? McLaurin and the Skins come back. Barkley and the Giants come back. CD going wild. I mean, it's now. Don't get me wrong. Cowboys have played 2 shit teams.
Congratulations on beating Daniel Jones and Zach fucking Wilson.
Right. I mean, and then yeah. Don't get me wrong. Daniel Jones and those guys coming back yesterday was impressive. Something that I was not anticipating, and as much as I wanted the Giants to lose, I kind of lamented in the fact that they beat the Cardinals ever so slightly. It made me smile seeing Gannon on the sidelines all fucking pissed off. Just a little bit.
Yeah. First of all, fuck Jonathan Gannon. Jot that down. All right, make a little note somewhere. Screw that guy in any scenario. Second of all, I have zero belief in the Giants, so I'm happy that they won because I want their draft pick to be as poor as possible when they lose, 5 of the next 7 games. They're going to play, probably lose 5 to 7. But Saquon Barkley, he's out for 3 to 4 weeks, maybe with a high ankle sprain. But the interest is a great question because CeeDee Lamb, Terry McLaurin, I'm concerned about our ability if our people are not staying healthy on defense but I'm also a little. Am I nervous about the D line? No, we have all the answers there. We have talent, we have youth, age. We're locked up. Maybe a little too much, as we were talking about earlier this week. But I'm really concerned with linebacker because we don't know what we have in Nakobe Dean yet. I was hoping to have, by the trade deadline, some sort of sample. Now we're kind of locked into this weird bubble where tight ends are tearing us up. TJ had a huge game again. That other loser for the Patriots had a really good game against us too, although he's pretty good blocker as well. But and we don't know what we have at linebacker, but what we do have is an established safety and a great cornerback group and a great defensive line. But we need a second safety at bare minimum, and that will help ease some of those concerns to Jared's question, because having a safety back there that can lock it up with Ed Reed Blankenship, as we like to say here around my condo, is the most important player for us because he's the only safety we got. And if you go out and you get yourself a Buda Baker, or you get, a Byard or somebody like that can really, really, really concrete the back end, then linebacker's not so much of an issue. It's more of what Morrow's used to with the Bears last season when he led them in tackles, which is stand, tackle, fill the hole, tackle, make the average play. You don't have to do anything exceptional. But right now, tight ends are torching us. And so I do have a large level of concern for the defense because we don't have a linebacker that we can count on. We don't have anything special in the middle. We don't have a safety that we can count on the back end, and we're already banged up in the secondary really badly. This is what we did the best last season. We also avoided significant penalties, and we had 7 penalties this week too. So you add in injuries, and you add in, you're not going to get every call, as Eagle fans know. And it really bothers me to see us not making any type of investment so far and shoring up the secondary or getting a linebacker that can do anything.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty concerned, actually.
Yeah, I know Howie has like this weird relationship with his guys that he hangs on to them as much as possible. But like right now is not the time to see with the Super Bowl window that you have. It's not a wait and see and what you got for the next, 15 weeks. And there's nothing wrong with going out and making a move. Those guys are still going to sit back there and learn. They can learn from them. They're still going to play. They may not be starting the entire time, but if you have a chance to get, a Buda Baker or somebody else, then just make the damn deal. I was against the Buda Baker move earlier this year, but now with the injuries and everything, he's played slot before. Even letting him play the other safety position and letting somebody else come down, with that coming in, I'd be totally okay with it at this point. I think he was the 4th highest graded safety last year. So, yeah, level of concern with it coming in is definitely worrisome, especially as we get into, deeper into our schedule and you start coming across the Dallas Cowboys and the Chiefs and the Bills and the Dolphins and everything else, it starts getting a little worrisome where you go like, oh, if we lose one of these games, not a big deal. Now it's like with how the defense looks, like you have a possibility of having a real struggle against, 5 teams in 6 weeks coming in, which isn't good.
Yeah, I mean we're in the easy stretch of our schedule, rolling into week 3 here. And when I say easy, I say that lightly, obviously, because fact of the matter is that all these guys are professional football players, and any given Sunday is something that is words to live by when it comes to these guys, and it's I think we would be remiss in sleeping on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or even getting further down into it. Some of our divisional rivals with the Commanders getting ready to come into town as well. I think we got there's a whole nother. We end up having the Rams, which they could be another flash of greatness, or a flash of their previous selves, and then the Dolphins, I think are not going to be ones that we might necessarily want to sleep on either. So we're we're gonna roll into the bye week and it's there's got to be some level of concern at some point with this. So I think Howie can't sleep on this any longer. I think we need to kind of pull the trigger and go after somebody. You got to do something. We got to shore this up because we're what and that's what it is. We're one injury away, one long-term injury away from being in a dangerous situation. Concussion is one thing. We can rebound from a concussion protocol. The guy will be back. We know that. We can pencil that one in. But one more shitty play and we're down a rabbit hole. So it's we got to do something. Got to do something.
I think too, looking at it another way too, like that's why the McLaurin question I think was so good, is because those are the people in our division, and what they want to do well is air it out, and everybody wants to run it well, but we're really one of the only teams, especially in the division with Saquon out, that runs the ball well. So you kind of you're going to see what happened with the Vikings, I think, happen a few times almost by default. Because if you have an offense that goes out there and is holding the ball for 15 minutes and then for 15 plays rather, and then the Vikings go out there and they break a quick play, and then you have an offense, and even though possession's a really good thing, fatigue is still fatigue.
Yeah.
So that's when you're going to see those sloppy mistakes. You're going to see a read that where the hell was that ball going? And then the rest of the game, he's 78% accurate. Like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you got to look at the style of play within your division and work from the inside out and decide, okay, how are we going to beat these guys first? Worry about everybody else second, because I have enough gray in my beard to remember Ryan Fitzpatrick starting off like 6-0 or 7-0 and getting this big fucking contract extension, man. Big fucking deal, right?
Yep.
And he gets his all this stuff, whatever, and I don't even remember. It's like $60 million or something prohibitively high for a guy like that.
That was when he got Buffalo, right?
Yes,
yeah.
And then, of course, they fell to shit because that's what happens. And, people can get off to hot starts. Well, the Eagles are built to sustain all year, and we're going to have to take the growing pains of being a successful football team. That means losing coordinators. That means losing skill people. That means as your contending team keeps growing, you're holding on to as many guys as you can. So they're getting older. They're playing longer into the season, so they're having more injuries. You can't count on certain things. And to go into this season with the safety room like it looks now is just fucking malpractice to me. I mean, knowing where this team is sitting. And maybe there's no deal to be made. Maybe people know what the Eagles are looking at, and they're demanding, 2 first-round picks for a guy, or they're, something really, really high. But there's just no excuse other than, maybe just being gouged to not go get somebody to shore up the back end of your defense would make up for everything we're talking about. We have enough corners to plug that have athleticism to plug in at slot. Yeah. We can't solve safety, not with who's on this roster.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think this, and I don't want to say that it's ignorance on Nick Sirianni's part, or even Howie Roseman's part. I'm almost kind of wondering if their thought process is, oh, well, we have Terrell Edmonds and we have Reed Blankenship and we went out and we drafted this kid. If they have this honest opinion that they felt like they were in a good spot rolling into the beginning of this year, even at the linebacker depth. I mean, and then the fact that they basically turn around, release these guys, and then they had to scramble to sign them back because Kobe Dean goes down. Ellis is now the fucking starting middle linebacker. Nobody could have wrote this shit. This wasn't the way that this was ever fucking supposed to go. So the fact that we're now putting ourselves into a situation where we're scrambling because Howie's like, oh, well, I can get a couple of these guys for a value deal here, sign them. We're going to be in a good spot. We got some depth and we're there because we have this person and we have this person. We're good to go. It almost kind of seems like, it's ignorance on his part in the sense that, well, I could save some money and put myself into a good spot where I can sign some of these other key players that I want to keep here in the long term. and we end up putting ourselves into this situation where we're ultimately going to end up having to probably offload some of our draft picks in the future to be able to shore up some of these holes that have developed, and honestly, that I wouldn't even say that they developed, that have been there, that we just they didn't get addressed in the proper way, and that's where we're at, and it's unfortunate that we're in that portion because, to our point, this defensive line is built like a brick shit house. You have to have the protection behind these guys. They're not going to be able to get to the quarterback every time. It's just not going to happen. So you have to have something else there. And relying on Darius Slay to be the guy that's going to lock down everything, it's just unrealistic and fucking ridiculous. So
you can only get so far with 1 year minor deals or signing somebody that is a free agent all the time to save a buck. There is another name, although I just said can't sign every free agent, as a linebacker. Anthony Barr is still out there. Anthony Barr was a very good linebacker with Minnesota. We'll see. It would be somebody I'd be interested in bringing in maybe for a workout, or depending on how much. Even though he's absolutely destroyed the Eagles in the past, but it's just another name to bring in.
I mean, you got to do something. You got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any harm in bringing a guy in for a workout or doing anything like that. I mean, watch me throw a football over the mountains, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
it's just looking at what beat you and just being honest about it. Like, I have my own contentious thoughts about the Super Bowl, like anyone else, right? That's an Eagles fan or has two eyeballs. But looking at what beat you, it's all about respecting your opponent more and saying you're in a division that wants to air it out. You're in a division that wants to throw it 40 times a fucking game, even with Saquon, who's catching a lot of passes himself, and going, what do we need to compete here? And I really think that Howie Roseman's no idiot. I trust him 100%. But looking at maybe the value wasn't there, or they thought Sidney Brown would progress better or whatever. But we just didn't make the corresponding moves. It's kind of like when the Warriors were building up and they had those 2 high draft picks, right, with Wiseman and it's at Kuminga, and they had this team ready to win right now in these aspects, but they failed to use those picks to shore up, what they had in their current core. And that's similar to how I feel because, Ringo's great, but he's young. Ricks is great, but he's young. And you have all these guys that are really good at some point. We need to be good right goddamn now, or at least average.
Yep.
Because you can't go into a roster season and go, Terrell Edmonds is going to get it done. It's like the 63rd best safety or something crazy. Like, get it together a little bit. I mean, a little bit. Maybe they're hoping someone shakes free, but if you don't go out and trade for somebody, the whole back end of your defense is going to be very exposed.
Yeah, I mean, it pretty much comes down to, do you trust Justin Evans over some of the potential guys you can bring in? You know what I mean? And I will take the latter probably 95% of the time.
Yeah, I would say so too. And I was just perusing Anthony Barr. He had like a 60 or 59 rated thing where he struggled the most was pass coverage.
Yeah.
And I would love to see but that's why I was in love with Sidney Brown when we drafted him. Put that guy in the slot and just say, run with whomever's
he has
giving
the
a hard
speed
time
to be able to. That's not the
yeah.
question.
Yeah, I mean, he's built to be a ball hawk. Yeah.
Get him out there, and we've all made this point. Live with the fucking mistakes. Keely Ringo's young and raw, and Ricks has all this athletic, flashing ability. Get them out there.
Yep.
Let them get beaten. I mean, they can't do any worse than fucking Evans in pass coverage. I know that.
Yeah, or Mario Goodrich in the slot. So it's
holy shit, dude! Yeah,
those guys.
Well said, Matt.
If I see him 3.5, 4 yards behind somebody again playing catch up, I'm gonna fucking pull the hair that I don't have out.
Ditto.
Yeah, it's just it's mind boggling.
What do you think? You're better than me? Yeah. Look at this guy. Look at this jabroni.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Yeah, I mean, we're the fact that we need to be so critical of these guys, especially in this venture, kind of speaks to the fact that we've been so high on this front four rolling into this season because of the depth and where we're at. And it's an unfortunate spot that we are in, and having a new defensive coordinator, and this is kind of one of them things that I think everybody was so hypercritical of Gannon a while back in regards to it, like especially when he had first gotten here. We were very critical of him because of the fact that some things were not gelling with the defense, and I think that this kind of harkens back to that. You could provide this defensive coordinator this team all the whole way through. You're not providing him the bodies necessary to be able to conduct this defense the way that he probably anticipates or wants to do it. And then that's the unfortunate fucking thing.
Yep.
He's obviously it's not Seattle. We're not, we don't have the Legion of Boom or anything like that. All we have is a solid front four, maybe possibly, front six if you really want to include Hassan Reddick into the conversation and the Kobe Dean when he's fucking healthy. But it's, we're in a spot now that unfortunately our secondary is just it's not going to be up to par, and regardless of what team it is that we provide him, he's going to roll out what he can with what he's got, and we need to. I think Howie's doing him a disservice by not providing them the necessary tools to be able to do this effectively. So, yeah, we're in a tough spot, and it's not going to get any easier. To your guys' point, I mean, we're getting ready to roll in against some really good quarterbacks. It's not just the receiver thing that we're needing to worry about. It's the fact that there are going to be some good quarterbacks out there that are just going to fucking pick you apart.
I mean, we got we got the Bucks coming up next week, and then we got the Commanders coming in with Sam Howell, but still got Terry McLaurin sitting out there, and then you run in, and Dodson, and then you run into Matt Stafford, who can do whatever, and apparently they found some 7th round guy that likes to catch 37 balls a game right now.
Yeah, that's
wherever he came from.
Where they got him.
Then, Dallas, KC, Buffalo, the Niners, Dallas again, Seattle, and you're getting all these guys' best shots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You are the king of the NFC until you're knocked off of it, and you are getting everybody's best shot. And they're not going to let Jalen Hurts' legs beat them. They're going to stop everything. And like you said earlier, you watch on a couple of those balls, and there's a middle linebacker just sitting there, and he's just watching Jalen Hurts or wherever he's going. He's not even QB
spy the whole fucking the whole time. Yeah.
So you're going to have to figure out a way around this, and I think it is going to be the screen game has to go out, and I love Dallas Goedert. Not the Dallas Goedert on the wing as a screen with no blockers over there for a yard and a half gain. Let your guys get out running, give it to Swift or Penny or Gainwell, and let them do their thing. They're not going to be able to sit back there very much longer, and it just opens up everything with it.
And I think we are a player. I think we're one player away, and get Dean back, and then you're rolling with these people who have filled in for a while, who now have a feel for the system. Some of these guys, like Cunningham, was just on the street. He wasn't homeless. Poor guy. I don't want to disparage him. But he, occupation-wise, he was jobless, and Morrow, was basically jobless, right? And we're looking at Ellis, who's a special teams guy, and they're making good plays. But if you have Dean and he comes back, I think you can roll the dice on middle linebacker, bringing Dean back. But
Cunningham, I think, actually has led the team in tackles in both games. I think this is the second fucking game in a row. So I mean, he's there. He's getting to the ball carrier. It's just,
and he's a 2-down backer though. That's the thing with him, is that throughout his career, he had 4 seasons where he was one of the top run stuffers, on those first and second down, but he was not very good in pass defense, and that's not going to improve off an Achilles tear. But like, you can afford to stick with linebacker as it exists right now, especially if you're going to play nickel and all these defensive backs. and you're even good at corner, I think, as it stands right now. But if you, and I keep hammering this, but you got to add a safety, it makes it all cohesive.
Yeah.
And you hit it perfect, Tommy. You're not giving this guy the tools to do his fucking job.
Yeah.
And you have the resources to get the guy. You're in the
Right.
window right now. You don't, success is fleeting. The Buccaneers look like a team built for a good 3-year run, and then they were absolutely dog shit.
Yep.
So, and with a very similar defense, right?
Yep.
So success is fleeting. You want to build for the future and everything else, but don't warriors yourself into a box. All right, use your assets. Don't overdevelop young guys. Just go get somebody that can solve your fucking problem. Like if the Vikings keep imploding, maybe a Harrison Smith would make some sense. I mean, he's from a shit school collegiately, but he does a really good job at every other level, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's a guy that I brought up earlier, I think one of the second or third show that we did. And I mean, they're not going to trade him now being as well as they're playing, but Patrick Queen, a linebacker from the Ravens, he's excellent in coverage. And they're not going to let him, they're not going to let him go now. They were talking about trading him at the end of last year, and I'd have loved to have Patrick Queen. But, now kind of too late. We sat on the pot way too long, and them being 2-0, they're not going to let him go at any time soon.
Yeah.
Until Lamar gets hurt about week 6, but that's a different story.
And
yeah, I mean, wait, don't the Ravens play? They play in the fucking. I think they play the Steelers next week, so he'll be hurt. He'll be hurt at the end of the game next week.
Lamar, yeah. So hopefully we'll be able to snag him in week 5 or 6. Then we'll be all right.
Yeah, he'll be hurt. He'll be hurt at the end of the next week. Yeah, so it's we're being critical of him right now because obviously we're in a spot, and I don't know that we're necessarily going to be in a bad spot next week, but it's definitely something that better move on it now than later, and that's something that I think I think that's the point we're trying to hit home with this is we can't continue to sit back on this and wait for the what if. We need to do it now. So
yeah, and with all this being said, with everything that we had going on, like you said, we are 2-0. We are putting points up on the board. The defense has come through in big spots towards the end of the game with big stops coming in. Got a lot of pressure on Kirk Cousins that last drive because they knew that he had to throw the ball down the field, and they couldn't block. They couldn't block the front four. It wasn't happening, and to be able to drop 7 back and just let your front four eat against 5 guys and they're still getting pressure. It's such a nice thing to have. And when push comes to shove, I have a feeling that Jalen Hurts is going to get it done with this offense. If we need a score coming down in 2 minutes, he's going to do whatever it takes, laying his body on a line, hitting his receivers, doing whatever it is to put them in a position to be able to win. And I think that, Brian Johnson now gets in a rhythm in play calling.
Yeah.
And getting his runs together. Get Hurts in a rhythm. Have him hit a 4-yard pass, a 6-yard pass, a 7-yard pass, not constant, these 15 to 20-yard balls that's a low percentage in the NFL. And to constantly be trying it, you got to get him into a rhythm so he can bring those guys up, bring the backers up, bring everybody up towards the line. Then you can drop him over like his interception was. I don't think he even saw the guy when he threw the interception.
No, it didn't. It didn't look like not where he threw it. It didn't look like he even saw the guy at all.
No, but that's the thing. Like that's when the offensive line needs to give him more time. But everybody's bringing more people than we have blockers.
Right.
And that's another thing that DeAndre Swift is good at. He's a good blocking running back for as small as he is.
Yeah, and you touched on the screen game, and he excels in the screen game, right? Yeah. So, like, you're going to have a lot of people who can really, really, really get it done. Scott, who had a great game for us too, limited carries, is always a guy you can trust with the football. Typically, Boston Scott. But I got to say, to shout out for Justin Jefferson, because I think what he needs is another compliment.
Oh yeah.
So he can, and he's got to get it from me. But that some of those balls Cousins threw were absolute frickin' dimes, and some of them were a little behind whatever, but like their connection is undeniable. and that was on such tight coverage where you could see Slay ripping them out on some of them, and some of them Jefferson got. I mean, he is the absolute truth and an absolutely fantastic receiver. And it's a shame to see him wasting away in Minnesota, but I'm happy with our double selection instead.
It's so crazy when you go down like with the butterfly effect. If everybody screams like, who wouldn't love to have Justin Jefferson? It's just a matter of fact. But if we did have Justin Jefferson, we would not have Devontae Smith or AJ Brown. So I'm happy with the way everything set out and how it happened.
Yep, and look, everybody that laughed at the Eagles, by the way, everyone, oh, they're taking Rager, and they're laughing in the draft room, and ESPN's having a fucking field day. Fuck you guys. You know why? Because every motherfucker in that room is fired. Every motherfucker in there is fucking fired. They were such smart, brave, beautiful geniuses that they're all fucking fired, and we have 2 Pro Bowl receivers.
Yep.
And you have one receiver who's about to make $35 million a year, probably, or something of that effect. And we're going to be paying both our receivers that amount of money, combined.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you have to. Yeah. Who else are you going
to pay them or trade them? But let's say they trade them, even fucking funnier. Because if those draft picks don't pan out, you did the smart thing in the room and you all got fired.
Yep.
So good job, Vikings. Way to go, Spielman. You no talent asshole.
You fucking fired up tonight. You still drunk? Drunk Scotch still got you.
Not since yesterday. I'm out on it, man. You're gonna talk some shit and you're gonna troll us with clips and stuff. Make us the butt of the fucking joke. Well, good for you, man. You're all jobless.
Yeah.
You
go ahead and watch us on February 6th. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
some smart geniuses.
I had the crazy idea before the game started last week. I was like, we should do a live show during the game, and then the game panned out, and I was screaming at my TV. I was like, we probably should never do that.
Not a good idea. Yeah, not a good idea.
That sounds terrible.
It's going to be a lot of commentary of me going like this. And then I thought, God. So anyway.
You're going to see a lot of commentary with my screen just going black because I ripped my laptop off the fucking thing and just threw it.
Yeah. It's not a good, that's that would not be fucking good. It would not be a good idea. All right.
Put the not safe for work tag on that one.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into our last segment and wrap it up.
Hit 'em high, hit 'em low is brought to you by Diet Smoke. Use code OCSN. Nailed it this time, lots of practice, for 15% off, not including vapes. I will tell you, those Delta gummies, I won't say from personal experience, but they're pretty good for a good chill time. So definitely get yourself some of those gummies. Order from Diet Smoke. They're a good partner of ours, and I'm telling you, that shit's going to blow your mind. So let's get into it, Tommy.
What you got, dude?
What do you think about the over?
So they ended up covering, right?
Yep.
By a lot.
Yeah.
By a lot.
Yeah, this one we actually all agreed on. Yeah, we all agreed on that one.
We all went over on this. I think without question, we thought this one was actually going to be a barn burner, and that's exactly what it ended up being. I was actually expecting it to be a higher score than that. I'll be honest, but I'll take the fact that it was the over. We all covered.
For sure. Not doing too badly, right? Not doing too badly. I thought you'd be interested to know that Tua has overtaken Patrick Mahomes as the MVP favorite.
Really?
Yep. On all but one sports book, Tua is the odds-on favorite at plus 500, plus 550 in that range. Patrick Mahomes is second, and this is the one that I love. Josh Allen is motherfucking plus 1,000, tied with Hurts. Still, so Josh.
That must have been after this last game.
Yep, this is the most up-to-date odds.
Yep.
And so Hurts and Allen are tied for third, but they're both distant seconds really to Tua and Patrick for the MVP race. And Lamar Jackson at 1,200. Lawrence, Dak Prescott checking in as the only the second NFC quarterback to be in the top 10, and he's still at plus 1,600.
Huh.
Yeah, because his stats haven't been. I mean, that first game, that wasn't anything. You know, what, like 154 yards or something, and a pretty low, like I think it was like 54% completion rating.
Yeah.
And when we're not talking about world beaters, you know, Dallas is playing.
Right.
No, and even I don't even know who they have coming up. To help with
Dallas.
that. They have the Cardinals next week, so there you go. The Patriots, and then then they play the Niners.
Watch, they'll lose to the Patriots.
It'll be something stupid. They'll probably lose to the Cardinals next week, and then beat the Patriots by fucking 40 or something stupid like that. You know what I mean? But
right.
You know, I don't know. Those odds are definitely having Tua the odds-on favorite. No, he's not even going to play the entire year.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, I'll be honest.
Yeah, it's very odd to me because he's one hit away.
Yeah,
I'm actually kind of surprised. I'm actually kind of surprised Mahomes maintained being in the lead.
Mahomes could be 0-13, and he will still be the odds-on favorite for a NFL
There's
MVP.
no doubt.
They
Yeah.
And I guess rightfully so from the previous plays. I'm not going to sit here and hate on the guy, but the NFL has their heads shoved so far up that guy's ass. Him and Justin Fields, which I don't get, but they have their heads so far up their ass.
Where did he fall after that shit sandwich he put up the other day?
Oh.
Where is he?
But
I don't even see him on the board.
He's not on the fucking listing.
Good, because that fucking guy, man.
That's crazy, man. He's at plus 10,000 now.
Plus 10,000.
I had to keep scrolling, but Brock Purdy is at plus 2,000 for Christ's sake.
God damn. Justin Fields fell that bad?
Jordan Love's above him, Kirk Cousins, Tyreek Hill, Geno Smith. The highest rating he has is plus 6,000, but the two major sports books we use, they have MGM and FanDuel, DraftKings are at plus 10,000. I mean,
yeah,
that's fucking crazy.
Suffice it to say, some shit doesn't wash out, and people are not missing that.
Yeah, this is my shock.
Justin Herbert's still up high?
Yeah. Herbert's put up great numbers. His defense is just
Justin Herbert's plus 1,600, yeah.
Okay.
Still behind Burrow, though.
Burrow has 140 yards passing in 2 games, so, we'll see.
Yeah, but he's right there, though, right?
That dude cannot do jack squat.
And now he's out.
They're in trouble, man.
His calf injury re-aggravated itself, and they said they don't know how long he's going to be out for. So, if he misses 2 games, they could possibly be 0-4.
But that's a perfect example of what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why these guys, they pay backup quarterbacks a lot of money to sit on the sideline. You know what I mean? To keep you afloat when your guy goes come out.
Jake Browning? Who the fuck is this kid?
Exactly. I think he was Georgia's quarterback 5 years ago. So that's right, Washington. Yeah. So if he was from Georgia, I was surprised we didn't draft him.
Oh my god.
They trade because Eason went from Georgia to Washington too.
Yeah.
They're gonna end up picking up another fucking quarterback here in the very near future.
Yeah, right.
Can I interest you in a former Heisman winner?
Yeah. Mariota.
Strip that shit off for parts, but looking at the over-under coming up this week, it's at 45.
I'll take the over again. I'm going over.
Yeah.
Until I get a definite that Reed is back and that Bradbury's back, I'll take the over. It's just
Yeah, I think that line's actually going to adjust a lot this week as people's availability becomes known.
it's
Like
just especially with
no, go ahead.
now, especially with I said earlier how good of a receiving back that Rashad White is, and we don't have any good cover linebackers, or we
Yeah.
don't have a slot guy, and the outside guys are going to be busy with Godwin and Evans. They're going to have their hands full, no matter which one you want to cover coming in. So it's going to be big. Baker's been safe with the ball. He hasn't had too many turnovers and hasn't Bakered himself coming in, but they haven't asked him to do a whole lot either.
Right.
So
you're a good player when they turn your name into an adjective, right? Like
yeah, right. Yeah, it's kind of like
he Bakered himself.
or if they're playing a primetime game, you don't cousin to yourself.
Well, I mean,
yeah, and you don't want
not for Cousins. Cousins didn't look fucking too
No,
bad.
He didn't at all.
So
target.
Yeah.
But for the money line this week, though, you can bet 300 to win 100 if you're really confident in the Eagles taking down the Bucks.
That's actually not bad.
Yeah, well, totally off topic, but it is with bets.
Yeah, not terrible. It's being the favorites.
Nah. I was watching college football on Saturday, and Bama was playing. Who the hell was Bama playing? South Florida. This guy bet $12,500 to win $125 because he took Bama, and I know he was fucking sweating for 3 quarters. He was
Yeah,
lose
they did not look good for sure. Yeah, they did not look as impressive as they have in years past. They thought that game was probably a fucking write-in, and it did not pan out that way.
I know the guy who plays that bet though was fucking sweating.
Yeah, I'd be sweating too.
But yeah, I would, like you said it again. I would take that over. I can see
over
30.
But yeah,
30,
another
30,
thing is
31-21 game, something like that.
Goddard is plus 2,200 to have a receiving touchdown this game. And the Tampa Bay defense has been middle to lower end of the pack and tight end defense. So that'd be kind of a good one, too.
Yeah.
Take
a little flyer on.
Yeah, that one might actually
Don't get all excited at once.
Anything inside the 10-yard line, it's just a Jalen Hurts sneak. It doesn't matter where it is. It's just happening.
It's a fucking it's become.
And I will say, everybody's talking about they should outlaw the tush push because it's so good. This week, quarterbacks were 0 for 4 on trying it on all other teams. They did not get it.
Yeah, it's because they can't fucking do
an
it.
Eagles thing. No, well, like somebody said last night during the Cowboys game, they were like, not all quarterbacks can, squat 600 pounds behind everybody because it was 0 for 4. Just too good at it, and you're going to outlaw it because one team's too good, and the other guys can't stop it. It's kind of fucked up. So,
yeah, and Jared said, plus 2,200 is legit though.
Yeah,
as fuck.
Yeah.
Well, fuck you guys. I'm just gonna go make the money.
Right?
Yeah, I'm down. I might play that game, but
I'm gonna throw a little money at it.
Hey, speaking of legit though, did you guys see Hurts tied Tom Brady for the 20th most rushing touchdowns?
No, I did not.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Already?
He's at 20. Yeah, he's at 28 career rushing touchdowns. 28.
I didn't even think Tom had that many. But that was
a lot of quarterback sneaks.
The original quarterback
like
sneak guy.
Years.
Yeah. He was the guy who would always get a yard and a half with it.
And then I also saw they said Jake Elliott, he's the 5th kicker in NFL history to make multiple field goals from 61 yards. The other one, and he's 2 for 2. And the other one is Brett Maher from Nebraska, by the way, 3 for 3, 61 and out. Janikowski was 2 for 9. Tucker was 2 for 8, and Prater was 2 for 4. Jake Elliott is 2 for 2.
When he kicked that
he's going to be the best kicker
in
NFL. He's going to be the best kicker in Eagle history easily. It's not even close.
Really? You think he'll beat out David Akers? Really?
Yes,
Yeah.
he's beat him out right now, and that's what we were talking about in the preseason, that he could be the guy to take his spot, and he just went and fucking took it, man. I mean, 61 yards.
Yeah.
Without Elliott, we're probably losing game 1.
Oh
With-
yeah, no,
with
that's
over-
yeah.
Kicks
Question.
over 50 yards. I don't even question him anymore. Like the dude is automatic over 50 yards. I don't get it. I don't get
Yeah,
it. It's just I know he had a miss last week. You know, I think it was 57. He just pushed it right a little bit.
yeah.
But yeah, other than that, like over 50, he is probably over 90%, which is unreal. Akers was great, 30 to 50, but over that, it was a little hit and miss. But Elliott is a weapon to have in your back pocket and changes play calling so much in that on that third down. 55, yeah.
Yeah. 55 wide right. It's all that fucking Aaron Sipos' fault.
Yep.
Did you see my username, Tommy?
I saw the bob. I was cracking up.
So next quarterbacks we're facing, right? We beat Cousins. We got Mayfield, Sam Howell, Matthew Stafford, Zach Wilson. So in my opinion, there's going to be a lot of over going on. All those teams like to air it out. Zach Wilson would like to air it out, but cannot. So I would take the over, depending, as long as it's around 42 to 45, probably in all of those games coming up too. In fact, the futures for the Jets, they're still sitting at 48 for the over/under. I'm sorry, 38 for the over/under for the Jets game, and that's going to be aggressively changed. The closer we move to the game, if somebody hasn't paid attention to it already. But that was as of this afternoon. So 38 would be pretty damn good against the Jets. I mean, they have a good defense, but Zach Wilson can't do shit except for his friends or teammates' mothers, I guess.
God damn, you are on a fucking roll tonight.
As my one fantasy football team name says, banging moms and throwing bombs, so we're good.
Yeah. Well. We're not sponsored by the Mormon Church, man. We got.
Alrighty. Well, I think that's about going to wrap it up for us. We'll be running a pregame coverage for the Buccaneers Eagles game, depending upon old Matty Boy's schedule.
Yeah, we're good this weekend. We're all good, so I'm gonna throw it up.
Well, then we'll be probably running a show either Friday night or Saturday night, depending. Our game is not until Monday night at 7:00, so we got some time. Oh, actually, Jared's got one last question for us before we wrap up. Last question. Don't think, just react. Namde, bad player or bad fit and scheme?
Bad scheme. 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
You're gonna take a great man-to-man guy. A man-to-man guy, and then you're going to throw him in fucking zone coverage when you make your offensive coordinator your fucking defensive coordinator, so you don't have to get rid of him. Fuck you, Juan Castillo.
Oh, my God. Fuck that guy for sure. And fuck that decision-making. Like, nobody knows how to fuck up a free agent, like, secondary acquisition like the goddamn Eagles, dude.
Oh, my God.
Like, give me Lito Shepherd and Brown in the same draft, but give me Asante Samuel and Nnamdi Asomugha. I was doing cartwheels. I'm like, no way we can fuck this up. And they're like, Juan Castillo knew it. And I'm like, here we go. There we go.
Yeah, we fucked it. We fucked it big time.
That decision made me. I was like, all right, it's time for Andy to go, because apparently he's just has no idea what the fuck is happening anymore.
I think he was disconnected at that point. I don't know that he was. I think he was so worried about running the team as the GM as opposed to running the team as the head coach that it was any way that he could avoid having to make a decision, he fucking did it. And that, I mean, because
around that time he lost his son. He lost
Morningwig was right, and Morningwig was the fucking offensive coordinator, right?
Yeah. I mean, we made Nnamdi Asomugha look like Kerry Washington playing corner. Like, it was not good.
Or Kerry Williams when we signed him. Fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Buying fucking sconces for your house. Every time I see a sconce, I want to fucking punch a wall.
Dude, all pales in comparison to drafting drafting fucking like 25-year-old firefighter who had no interest in football.
And fuck you, Danny
Fuck
Watkins.
me. I got too many of these popping in my
And-
brain. You better.
And fuck you, Marcus Smith. All of them.
Hot route. Fucking Marcus Smith. You no talent ass. Oh my god, dude.
It's bad when they said drafting Marcus Smith and all the commentators go, huh? It's like, okay. We definitely nailed that one.
Never a good idea to look like the smartest person at the draft, like out of confusion. You're like, this'll show him.
Yeah.
A TCU wide receiver said no one after this last draft.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake, don't even get me started. I don't even want to
So
get into it.
so-
All right, because we could be here for a whole nother fucking hour talking about that alone.
Yeah.
All right, so Birds of Words brought to you by Old City Sports Network. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at Birds of the Word and Old City Sports. Be sure to check out all the other shows we got going on Old City Sports. Hockey season's getting ready to kick off, so Flyers Alley is going to be picking up. Center Ice already started. Phillies are getting ready to roll into the playoffs, it looks like, as long as they don't fuck anything up here in the very near future.
Big right now, so
we'll be doing so we'll be doing some extended coverage on the Phillies this year. And got some other great shows out there, 3 and Keystone, Delco Dive, Belly Busters. I mean, there's all kinds of great shows out there on the network, so be sure to check those out. Follow us on Twitter as well at Birds the Word 57. You can also check out the Twitter handles for a couple of our folks. And rest in peace to Sipas. He is no longer the punter for the Philadelphia Eagles. So, good times. Everybody's all happy about that one. So, with that, we'll go ahead and close it out. Have a good night, fellas. We'll see y'all on Friday or Saturday, probably.
Friday, Saturday. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Flip a coin,
All right,
and
boys.
find out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.